Hey, it's Jürgen. Great work in the group stage, tough loss to Columbus, but we showed resilience. Allen and De La Cruz leaving was big, but landing 10th is a great move. Let's carry the energy from the St. Louis win into CRUZ AZUL. I'm confident we've got this.
Hello everyone and welcome to episode number 58 of Red Bull KloppBot here on Sean Does FM with the New York Red Bulls. I hope you're doing well and come of day. We continue our journey hopefully through the Eastern final of the League's Cup, starting off with a trip to Mexico where we take on CRUZ AZUL for the first time. That will include a look at the KloppBot's hotspots and also a little bit of a quick transfer update before we do get stuck into that first game. But it comes off the back of the group phase in this competition, which we ran through during the course of yesterday's episode. So if you missed that one, which also included a few more transfers and trades as well, I'll leave a link to it over in the top right-hand corner. You can see there, just below that, we picked up a very comfortable 5-0 win over Atletico San Luis, which actually already guaranteed our spot in this quarterfinal, but then lost a penalty shootout off the back of a 1-1 draw with the Columbus Crew, which did mean that we qualified second from this group because, of course, they hit a penalty shootout to see who got an extra point to top that group. Otherwise, it would have been us because of our superior goal differential. So we're a little bit annoyed at how things do work out here in the League's Cup. But before we get stuck into this first game of hopefully two in this competition in today's episode, otherwise, maybe we skip forward and take on the top of our conference, Philadelphia Union, in the MLS in the second game if we get knocked out here. But thankfully, we have sorted out a left back off the back of that release clause being triggered for Noah Allen during the course of yesterday's episode. That comes off the back of the departure of Nicolas de la Cruz. He was underbid at the time when that Noah Allen bid did get triggered, just to make sure that we could get an international player to replace him, because the local options did not look too good. So Nicolas de la Cruz has gone to Trabzonspor for £2.1 million. Probably could have got a bit more for him, but to be fair, 32 years old on 50k a week, taking up one of our designated player spots. Seems we found someone better who we traded for him from the New England Revolution. Seemed like a good bit of business to get rid of him. And we did also get, just like with Noah Allen, an extra 600k in game money for this deal. So despite the fact it was under half the transfer fee, still got the same amount of game there from the MLS for the sale. So maybe that's just a set fee there for overseas sales from the MLS. But Nicolas de la Cruz is no longer here. But of course, we did replace him if we go over to our trades instead of our transfers with Gabriel Pirani from the New England Revolution. There's a reminder of what he looks like, because thankfully he'll actually play this first game in today's episode. A little bit of an upgrade considering he's actually got a bit of strength compared to de la Cruz, who we did get rid of. But we have brought in someone on a trade as well as the replacement for Noah Allen. Surprisingly, actually we're able to get hold of Aaron Zenta. Now we do have to explain this one, because I thought we'd be going for an international designated player. As it turns out, we tried that for a few people off the back of initially Dallas wanting way too much for Aaron Zenta, but they chose to go to other clubs instead of us. In the end, we went back to Zenta before I think it would have been our fifth or sixth choice left back option, and thankfully, Dallas decided that they wanted a little bit less than they did in previous negotiations. To be fair, just like the deal where we did get Pirani, we do have to give away $2 million of game money, but to be fair, off the back of those sales that we did just make, that got topped up by $1.2 million, but also we got rid of 3 first-round draft picks. So to be fair, this transfer worth a lot more than that Pirani one. Orlando City in next year's Super Draft. To be fair, those guys actually are doing a pretty good job over in the other conference this season, so that one shouldn't be worth too much. DC United's first-round draft pick in 2031, and the same year, the San Jose Earthquakes. So to be fair, those last two in 2031 could be worth a little bit, but fingers crossed by that stage, we might be done with the save, and hopefully we'll be playing FM25 instead. But we bring in from FC Dallas, Aaron Zenta, who is an international player, but a pretty darn good one. 3.5-star current ability and potential. Here's what he looks like as a wingback on support. Was clearly the best of the players that we could sign, despite the fact he doesn't like big matches and doesn't have too much of a right foot. That shouldn't be too much of an issue, seeing as he'll be our first choice left back. But a quite good bit of business there, it felt like, to get him for that game money and a couple of draft picks instead of bringing someone in who would have been a heck of a lot worse. So another trade there, just like for Pirani, for a fair chunk of game money and some first round draft picks, but thankfully that does actually mean we've upgraded on Noah Allen, so we should actually now be pretty well set for the remainder of the season here at the New York Red Bulls. If we go have a look at the season preview for the MLS itself, once we actually make our way to the right competition, you'll see we've gone a few out that season preview into 6th place instead of 10th, I think it was, when we joined the club. So we've definitely strengthened things over the course of this week since we have got there figuring out the trade system. So far, actually, quite enjoying life here in the MLS. Does make things a little bit more interesting with the trades as well as the transfers. But today we focus on the Leagues Cup, where hopefully we can make our way through to an Eastern final, and we take on it looks like a much stronger team in Mexico than Atletico San Luis in CRUZ AZUL. This one properly away from home, because when we played those games today, that was at a neutral venue, but these guys currently find themselves 5th in Liga MX, but to be fair, still quite early in the season. The manager likes a 4-2-3-1, so back there to the well-used formation so far in the save of our opposition managers. Their captain is Antonio Blanco, a Spanish defensive midfielder who does look pretty decent, quite good determination and leadership, and pretty much everywhere else has some pretty solid blue attributes. So a quite handy player there is wanted by Crystal Palace. So definitely might be a bit of a step up here from some players that we do see on the regular in the MLS. The vice captain is Luis Romo, the Mexican defender, who it looks like has floated around a few of the clubs over there in Mexico, is actually going to join Tigres at the end of the season. A handy player. Hopefully our fellas can give him a hard time coming up here in this game, but the key player would be Bruno Amioni, an Argentinian left back, 2-star reputation, very high aggression and natural fitness, and everywhere else he does look like quite a handy player. Another one who is wanted by someone, and that's Al Shabab over in Saudi Arabia. So it looks like a handy team we're taking on here in this Leagues Cup quarterfinal, but fingers crossed we can get past them, and it might even set up a rematch with the Columbus Crew, where hopefully we can get revenge on them for that penalty shootout defeat that we did suffer in yesterday's episode. Just that one injury to our Cup goalkeeper, so it does mean that our regular first choice goalkeeper here, one of our designated players in Faba Flagerio, is still in goal. But apart from that, we're at full strength. So hopefully we can make our way through here to the Leagues Cup East semi-final. But of course, it's our first away game that you guys are seeing so far since we've come to New York. So before we get stuck into this quarterfinal, it's time to check out the KloppBot's hotspots for Mexico City. And here's what the KloppBot has come up with, of course, these days on the Trivago ad. So we probably should actually be using that website here to check out the hotels. We're going to go to the Marquis Reforma Hotel and Spa. It does sound like the fanciest of the free options there. Hilton one, only 4 stars. The other two were 5 stars, but this one has a few more reviews, but it's located on Paseo de la Reforma. This hotel offers luxurious accommodation, a full-service spa, and fitness facilities providing comfort and convenience for our team. It does sound like it might be just a touch better than the other one of a similar rating in the Camino Real Palanca, Mexico. So what you get here, the website for this place, is a bit of a video that does play. That does look like quite a fancy area, no doubt, for weddings and whatnot. They've also got some pretty decent looking food there over in Mexico City, where they're putting the edible flowers on top there. You can see one of the spas that they do have there, which does look fairly decent. And there's a quick look at the outside of the hotel as well. We'll start to make our way down this page here. You can see the different type of rooms that you can check out. Deluxe rooms. They've got junior suites, which to be fair, do look like they have a bit more room than the previous one, a master suite, which is definitely where the manager should be staying if there wasn't a sky suite, which does look even better, or the Marquis loft as well. So to be fair, there's some good options here for accommodation. Also the Marquis suite, maybe that's where we go. Indeed it is, because that looks like the highest of the room types that they do have here at this hotel. But certainly they've got plenty of rooms, 15 sky suites as well, but we want to stay in the fancy pantsy Marquis suite, seeing as we are the boss man here at New York Red Bulls, and also have that Champions League money from our time at RB Leipzig. Going down further, they can do breakfast if you want, and of course they have spas, which might be quite useful considering that this Leagues Cup has been run through quite quickly so far. I think this might be our third game in the space of a week. They've got dining as well. They've got free culinary concepts, so we've got a few options there while we are in Mexico City, and apparently it's in the heart of the city as well. So that's where we're staying for our trip to Mexico City. And next up, we've got the KloppBot's activities. Now, I'm not too surprised. This is the first one, a Lucha Libre experience. While we're south of the border, we'll check out some live Lucha Libre wrestling, a quintessential Mexican spectacle known for its colourful matches and acrobatic performances. This entertaining event provides a lively atmosphere for team bonding. In other words, we're going to watch some wrestling, but it's going to be all the flippy stuff, not too much fists. So we'll go here and check out this website where they do a guided tour which does last about 4 hours. You can see there it's rated very highly on Airbnb experiences. You can even check out a video if you want to, but really it's wrestling with, as I said, lots of flips and guys in masks for the most part. You can see there's the guy who'll be taking you around. Going down a bit further, you get a brief explanation of what you do. First up, you go to the Taquilla El Caifan and get a bit of a history of Lucha Libre wrestling. Going down further, and after that, you eat tacos and drink beers. Already, this sounds like a pretty good time. And off the back of that, you also get a free wrestler mask before you make your way to the Lucha Libre for a 2-hour show either at the Arena Mexico or Arena Coliseo. So to be fair, this sounds like a pretty decent idea here from the KloppBot. Hopefully our fellas will enjoy that. To be fair, in America, they should be pretty familiar with going to some wrestling. Off the back of that though, we'll chill out just a little bit more and do a Jacques Chimilco boat tour. Not too sure if that's how you pronounce it, but either way, we'll explore the ancient canals there aboard a traditional Trajanera boat. Teams can enjoy music, local cuisine, and the vibrant ambience, offering a unique cultural experience. So maybe not quite as chill as I thought. Here's the website here that we found on Get Your Guide. You can see you get food while you're on the boat, and also, I imagine, do a little bit of sightseeing, and it sounds like there might also be a bit of music going on as well. You can see there the boats have some seats on them to make sure you can eat and drink and do all sorts while you are doing this tour. So to be fair, this also sounds like it might be a pretty good time. There's the mariachi band who look after you with the music, and also I imagine you do a little bit of sightseeing, but so far lots of pictures of that one bridge and fellas having drinks and food. So to be fair, this could be quite a carb heavy set the KloppBot's got us set up for here in Mexico City, but it does sound quite good at $90 a pop as we make our way there through the canals, beers and cocktails, some food tasting, all sorts of good stuff. And around our time off here in Mexico City before this game, we're going to do a guided tour of the Teotihuacan Pyramids. We'll take a guided tour of the archaeological site home to the impressive Pyramid of the Sun and the Moon. This excursion provides historical insight and an opportunity for team members to explore together. So be fair, this might be the most chill of the activities that we are doing. It again on the same website for the tour without the tourist traps. You can see here a few photos of the pyramids themselves. No doubt in real life they'll be pretty darn impressive. So those are the 3 things we're going to do there for the KloppBot's hotspots in Mexico City. Hopefully won't be too drunk and too carb loaded off the back of those first 2 activities, and we'll be able to put out a decent performance and make our way through to the semis in the eastern section of the Leagues Cup. And here are the team sheets for this Leagues Cup quarter-final. In the East section, there are the home team up first in CRUZ AZUL. Their recent form not too bad, going with their 4-2-3-1, albeit their last defeat did come to New York City, who are well below us now on that MLS in the Eastern Conference. Just one change to our usual best 11. Muniz is quite injury prone to Olvera up top, and it does mean that the hat-trick hero from a couple of days in Kikanovic is on the bench. But apart from that, we're at full strength. There's a highlight here. Unfortunately, I haven't changed the camera yet, so we'll see what happens during this highlight. Thankfully, we break up that free kick. Let me sort things out here. And now we get a better view of things as we start a counter-attack. Zanotti plays that one back there to De Bayo, goes across there to Yalmovink, who takes his time on the ball before playing that one forward to Paul. And there's our new signing for the first time in Gabriel Pirani. Of course, he didn't play during the course of yesterday's episode, but Olvera plays that one back for MV. Our new left winger, of course, debuted with a hat-trick in yesterday's episode, but unfortunately, this time can't beat the goalkeeper from that same angle he scored 2 goals from during the course of yesterday's episode. Unfortunately, it looks like they will deal with the danger from that corner. Indeed, that is the case. But early stages, we were on the front foot, albeit now it's a free kick here to CRUZ AZUL. They have the ball here just outside of our box. Dida, to be fair, forcing him backwards quite well, and he plays it all the way back there with a rather powerful pass to the goalkeeper, but unfortunately, then make their way forward here down their left-hand side. They play it there into the centre before going back there to Reyes. Takes his time before picking a pass out there. Over the top, a good chance there too. He was onside, but can't hit the target. So a good chance now for both teams. I dare say their one probably a bit better than ours, but thankfully somehow their striker did miss the target. And now we go down the other end. A good through ball there, which Vera takes a first-time shot from, but unfortunately can't quite hit the target. But early stages, there's a fair bit going on in this game. It's been quite even, but still 0-0. But now we've got a throw in here just inside of our own half. But thankfully it doesn't take us too long here to get inside of CRUZ AZUL's territory. And now Zentner, our new signing there from FC Dallas, is on the ball. We float that one far post there for Carrasquilla, who unfortunately can't quite hit the target. Lots of early action, but still 0-0. And would you believe, off the back of that hot start, there's been absolutely nothing happen off the back of that. So we're going to go into halftime still locked up here at 0-0. It looks like, based on overall shots, we've been the team on the front foot. But the XG actually is in favour of the home team. And unfortunately, we've also picked up a couple of yellow cards. Justin Glad can come on for Yalma Vink, and also will take off Paul there in defensive midfield. That balling midfield role is an absolute yellow card magnet. Callum Styles can come on for him. A couple of subs there at halftime, but so far this game pretty evenly poised and still locked up at 0-0. And we don't have to wait too long for the first highlight here in the second half, so quite similar how things kicked off there in the first half. A big clearance there. We initially win the ball back from, but unfortunately a header forward and CRUZ AZUL do get on the ball. Matulo there makes his way down that left-hand side, puts the ball in there for their striker, but thankfully that one goes high and wide and still scoreless. And just about to hit the hour mark in this game, and unfortunately both our wing-backs here are struggling for various reasons. We've got Zanotti on a 6.4, so we'll bring on Antwi for him, and Zenta on his debut down to Red Hearts. of Farfan can come on at left back, just one sub left for the remainder of this game. Still 0-0. And just about to make our way into the last 20 minutes of this game, we've got another highlight here. We are in possession as we find Farfan there down our left-hand side. He plays it forward to MV. Some nice dribbling from him before he picks out Pirani in a little bit of space. Goes looking there down our right-hand side for Antwi. He gets it back though, but that shot is a little bit high and wide. So still locked up here at 0-0 with only about 15 minutes left in this game. Not too sure if we go to extra time or straight to penalties here in the quarterfinals. Not too sure if things change off the back of the group stage. A good chance there for us. That might have been through MV, but unfortunately that one comes off the underside of the crossbar, doesn't quite sneak its way over the line, and then we take a corner a little bit short there, and I think that was Renier who had his effort saved from the goalkeeper's wing. Lots of pressure here on CRUZ AZUL, but unfortunately still yet to break the deadlock, and that corner not too great, and that pass forward there from MV not too hot either. And off the back of that, MV has dropped down to a red heart, but Olvera on a 6.4. Let's bring on Kikanovic. Last time he played for us, he did pretty well in one of our first couple of games in the MLS. Let's bring him on here with our final sub with about 10 minutes left. Still 0-0.
Yeah.
Albeit very shortly off the back of that, that might have been a terrible idea, because Carrasquilla will be forced from the field with an injury. So this means, seeing as we made our last sub at striker, we'll be down to 10 men now. We could put here Linear out to right wing and pull back Polani here to play a bit further back, but to be fair, he does look a bit better suited further forward. So I think here we'll just play the late stages of this game with two midfielders instead of three. Fingers crossed that will work, and we'll see what Linear can do there at right wing. He's also just picked up a yellow card before that injury did go through. But right off the back of that here, CRUZ AZUL with a thrown inside the final third, albeit that back pass there was a little bit hairy looking for a minute, but unfortunately Kikanovic can't quite make the most of it, and CRUZ AZUL do keep this ball. Some good short passing there. Down their left-hand side, they fizz one into the mixer, and Justin Glad with an own goal. I didn't think that was the way we'd concede when down to 10 men, but maybe that injury is going to do us here in the Leagues Cup this season. But some good play there down their left-hand side, and they fizz a ball there into the mixer. Unfortunately, Justin Glad there pokes that one home quite nicely into the bottom right corner. And off the back of that, I think we'll go back to our three midfielders, and we might just see if going a bit more attacking with some of these guys who were on support does help out a little bit. And also, we should probably go a bit wider and also go into an attacking mentality, to be fair, with our system here at the New York Red Bulls compared to what it was back at Leipzig. we can't do too much more already, playing expressively and with a quite high line and distributing quickly. But unfortunately, it looks like that might be it for this game. We'll go more direct for the last couple of minutes, but it looks like that one highlight off the back of going down to 10 men because that injury to Karaskia will prove costly, and we get done there in the quarterfinal of the League's Cup thanks to an own goal by Justin Glad when forced down to 10 men for an injury, and that's our first proper defeat here at the New York Red Bulls. That one yesterday doesn't count because it was a penalty shootout in the group stage of a competition. Still not too sure what was going on there, but unfortunately this one doesn't go to penalties. We get beaten thanks to an own goal when down to 10 men. Hopefully that injury to Karaskia isn't too serious, but a 1-0 defeat, so it does mean our journey in the League's Cup does come to a relatively early end. So I think now what I'll do is go for play into Miami off camera because they're not too good in this save with no Lionel Messi, and we'll come back and take on top of the Eastern Conference, Philadelphia Union. And we are back a bit to take on the Philadelphia Union here in the MLS, but off the back of us getting knocked out of that League's Cup, you can see in the end the final actually ended up being an all-MLS affair at SoFi Stadium. The San Jose Earthquakes somehow made their way through that final despite the fact they've been pretty average so far in the MLS and got beaten by the bloomin' Columbus Crew, who of course were the team that won that penalty shootout against us back in the group stage. So maybe if we won that one, would have had a nice path through there to the final, but unfortunately the Columbus Crew got the job done in that penalty shootout and made their way all the way through to the final and became the champions of the League's Cup. So I'm pretty sure that means they've got some Champions League Cup football here in North America for next season. We're going to have to try and do it through our performance in the MLS, but we've played one game off the back of getting knocked out in that League's Cup. It got delayed a few times, seeing as that competition did pop up in the end. Absolutely wiped the floor here with Inter Miami. Rodrigo Muniz popped up with a hat-trick, so maybe should have risked him in that game before in the League's Cup, but thankfully he came back in for this MLS game and did a number there on Inter Miami after they did make it 2-1 late in the first half. But either side of halftime, he picked up a hat-trick. Also Gabriel Pirani with his first goal for the club there at the half-hour mark, and off the bench Louis Oliveira also picked up a goal of shame. He couldn't do it in that previous game, but a very comfortable 5-1 win there over Inter Miami. So it does mean the state of the MLS going into the second game that we're going to play in today's episodes, that we've made our way all the way up to 4th in the Eastern Conference. Not too bad considering when we got here, we were down in 14th, so a big rise so far. Still no defeats in the MLS, but we'll see if that continues when we take on the Philadelphia Union, who so far have been the runaway leaders in this Eastern Conference. They're a pretty handy team here, the Philadelphia Union. They're right up there in terms of the Supporters' Shield, albeit their recent form, honestly, not that great. They lost to New England on penalties in the group stage of the League's Cup before getting past Zolos Tijuana and another penalty shootout in their other games. So they were a bit scratchy during the course of their group stage in that League's Cup before Columbus beat them 3-0. So based on that, they did lose the eventual winners, but we drew with them both in that League's Cup and in the MLS before that competition starts. Hopefully they're in a poor run of form and also got beaten 3-1 by St. Louis City. Of course, all capitals for the city because they like to be weird there in St. Louis. So the recent form actually not too great. So fingers crossed we might be able to catch them here on an off day. But to be fair, this is their home game. This will be tough. Their manager likes a 4-3-3, so to be fair, the same formation that we use. Their captain is Tyberibo, who is a striker from Israel, 31 years old. Does look handy, but to be fair, Muniz might be a little bit better, pretty similar in terms of current ability and potential. So I don't think we're missing out on too much there compared to their captain in terms of our striker. Their vice captain, Dario Salic from Bosnia, a little bit older, a defensive midfielder, come more attacking midfielder again. I think we've got players just as good as him with that 3.5-star current ability and potential formerly at teams like Palermo over in Italy. But their key player is Jamie Llewellyn, who is from Ghana, 28 years old, a winger, current attacking midfielder. To be fair though, he can play all over the shop, does a little bit better with that 4-star current ability and potential. But to be fair, lots of players here who I think we've got covered with some in our own squad. Worth knowing too, he actually made the MLS All-Stars. That game took place during the League's Cup for some reason, and the MLS All-Stars did win that one 1-0 over the Liga MX All-Stars, if anyone does care. So Philadelphia are doing quite well, but to be fair, in terms of personnel, they don't look too scary. So fingers crossed there we can pick up a result and keep our unbeaten run going in the MLS. Thankfully, we've still got our captain in Renier, because while we were playing those games off camera, a bid came in for him to trigger his £6.75 million release clause from Santos in Brazil. But thankfully, unlike with Noah Allen, we could negotiate a new contract, and he accepted that. It's not too sure how, but we managed to convince Renier to stay here at the New York Red Bulls. A little bit of a wage rise there, but to be fair, off the back of that sale of De La Cruz, we certainly had the money spare in our salary cap, and to be fair, as a DP, only about 13.5k of that goes towards the salary cap anyway, so a wage rise only impacts our actual wage budget in the transfer centre. So he's staying here, thankfully, and that new contract does get rid of that release clause. Very pleased about that, because it did happen off the back of the foreign transfer window closing here in the MLS. So that would have given us a real headache. If he did opt to leave, we would have been in trouble there in the advanced playmaker role. Maybe then that sale of De La Cruz would have looked a little bit silly, but thankfully Renier did stay. But unfortunately, we have suffered a couple of injuries. Johan Husduk, who to be fair is like our third choice right winger, has got injured in training, is out for about 2 months, I believe. That is with a torn thigh muscle indeed. That is the case. Going back, another red injury to one of our new first choice centre backs in James DeBio. This also happened in training. He's out for 4 to 6 weeks, so he's out for a little while here. Is our free signing from Leeds United, so a little bit weak at centre back, especially considering for this upcoming game that Jaume Vink is suspended for picking up too many yellow cards. So we are quite light here at centre back for this next game. It does mean that Justin Glove will be paired up with the massive Colin Moore there at the back, so fingers crossed those guys can do a job. And also on yellow injuries, Christian Pacheco almost back, and Carrasquillo, of course, went off in that Leagues Cup quarterfinal. Probably a big factor in that defeat. A twisted ankle. He's still out for 1 to 4 more days. So a couple of injuries that we're dealing with for this game. Thankfully, a couple of them don't impact us too much in terms of the goalkeeper as well as Hesduk. But it does mean coming up from our academy, we have signed Zhao Hongyu to a reserve player contract, which does mean that we could register him for the MLS. So we've done that. He's actually quite a highly promising player. We signed with that contract quite early here because Red Bull Salzburg wanted him. I saw that and thought that we should probably get him if that's the case, but lots of potential, okay current ability, probably someone will integrate more into the squad going into next season once we get rid of some of these players who no other clubs want, who aren't too good, but it's quite good on both feet. So we'll see if he gets some game time here off the bench in this game as our backup right winger, with those injuries to Carrasquillo as well as to Hesduk, and as well as that, as I said, that centre back pairing of Glad and Moore. But hopefully can do a decent job here against the top of the conference, Philadelphia Union, and potentially put ourselves in a position where we're not too far behind them in the race for top spot here in the Eastern Conference. And a quick look at the team sheets here for this MLS game will show you in today's episode. There are the Philadelphia Union indeed going with a 4-3-3, but as you saw before, their recent form, honestly, not too great. Here we are, those changes at centre back that we ran through before, and also how Sawi at right wing with Hongju on the bench. With those injuries, we are suffering currently in that position, but currently making our way up that table quite nicely in the Eastern Conference. Hopefully that continues against the team who are top of the table. And we don't have to wait long at all here for the first highlight of this game. Just 2 minutes and got a free kick there, looking for someone at the far post, but unfortunately can't quite find them. But thankfully, not a very good clearance away there from the Union. We find Renier there and a ton of space down our left-hand side. I think he almost tripped up there with MV, but thankfully Renier gets his foot to that one, a first-time finish, and buries that one in the top right corner. So thankfully, we get our goal-scoring boots on here for the first time in today's episode. In games that you're watching, that Inter Miami game was a big confidence booster off the back of that Leagues Cup quarter-final defeat, but thankfully off to a hot start here, 1-0 in front. And we go just past the 20-minute mark from the next highlight of this game, down the other end this time for a free kick to the Union. A bit messy there inside the box, Totland there with a effort on the volley, but thankfully that one goes just wide, and we're still 1-0 in front. And about 10 minutes off back of that previous highlights, another free kick here to the Union. Moore's picked up a yellow card since your last test. That's a big concern. They go quite close there from that far post header, but thankfully that one goes just over the bar. I'm pretty sure that aren't we though on our bench use there to cover right back, can do a job as well at centre back. So maybe that's what we need to look into here at half time in this game. But thankfully we're still 1-0 in front. To be fair, haven't done too much off the back of that goal that we did score the Union. have been on the front foot well and truly since then, but thankfully only the one shot on target, just like us. We're going to half time here with our 1-0 lead, but stats-wise, the Union are definitely the team on the front foot. So hopefully we can turn that round going into the second half. As I said, I'm pretty sure we can do a job at centre-back, and indeed, it does look like that is the case. To play things safe here, we'll bring him on for the big leg column more here at halftime just to play things safe. But so far, I'm relatively happy with how this one's going, but definitely could be playing a lot better with the Union being on the front foot. But thanks to that early Renier goal, we're 1-0 up. And we don't have to wait too long into the second half here for the first high goal kick here in our favour, which we play out to Zenta down our left-hand side, plays it forward to MB and up to Renier, the goal scorer, who is on a yellow card. But a wonderful ball there for Rodrigo Muniz. One touch then puts it past Gomez. We haven't been on the front foot too much in this game, but when we have, we've certainly made it count. We take a cushion goal lead here, nice and early in the second half. Renier there, a nice stop there to throw off Zaric, and a lovely ball over the top there for Rodrigo Muniz, who thankfully found his goal-scoring touch in that Inter Miami game and picks one up here against the Philadelphia Union, who look to be a much better team. They're still on top in terms of stats and XG, but thankfully now got a little bit of a buffer in this game. Now Zaric here with a free kick, which thankfully goes just over the top left corner. Off the back of that, MV struggling a little bit on that yellow card and a 6.5, so we'll take him off here. That'll be for Randall Leal, and also while we're here, Hasawi is struggling, so Honyu can come on for a first team debut. Still 2-0 up with a half hour left. And only a few minutes off back of those subs on our wings, there is another corner here to the Philadelphia Union. They take that one edge of the box, and somehow we've got away with that, and with a goal kick, a couple of blocks in there, and there must have been a bit of a deflection, which somehow came off the Union, and we didn't have to concede another corner. So they're definitely threatening here, are the Union, but so far we're really scrambling to keep this clean sheet. We'll take off here Renier and play things safe. It's a brilliant game, but we're 2-0 up with 20 minutes left. Fingers crossed that our bench can see this one out. James Robinson, a youngster with quite good potential, can come on for him, but we still have our 2-0 lead here at the Union. And a few minutes off back of that sub of Renier, now we're going to make our last one here because Zanotti has picked up a yellow card. No right back cover on the bench, but of course Farfan did do a job there when we first got here, and Nathan was out. So hopefully he'll do a decent job there the last 10 minutes of this game, and that's our final sub. Zaric again with a free kick. That one goes closest, forces their Frigerio into a really good save to keep that one from going into the top left corner. So the Union putting us here under lots of pressure, and again Frigerio comes up there with a massive save. We deal with that there through Muniz, who puts it out for a corner, but good saves there from Frigerio, who rather harshly doesn't get a rise there in his rating, but thankfully Glad there will head that ball away, and that should hopefully bring an end to that highlight. But the Union putting us under all sorts of pressure here, but somehow haven't scored a goal. They put this one far post, and again Frigerio comes up with a good save. In fact, that one has come off the wood boot, but certainly a bit fortunate here to not have conceded a goal so far, especially in the second half. We make our way into 5 minutes of added time, thankfully. Got that buffer goal through Muniz nice and early there in the second half, nice and early as well in the game overall. Renier with a nice strike in space there down our left-hand side. He was definitely player of the match off the back of the assist for that Muniz goal. But overall stats from that game, we definitely were not the best team, but thankfully quite efficient with the chances that we did have. And pull off there a little bit of an upset win, 2-0 over the Philadelphia Union, who, as you saw, were on top of the Eastern Conference. All of a sudden, we're not too far behind them now, only 3 points, and also sees us move up to third for the moment in the Eastern Conference off the back of that rather lucky 2-0 win. So despite the fact it looks like we got absolutely better in that game stats-wise, we pick up a win there in our first Turnpike derby of the save. Should have mentioned that, but to be fair, I'm pretty sure the derby against New York City might be a little bit bigger, but still unbeaten in the MLS since coming here to the New York Red Bulls. And as you saw before, that sees us move all the way up to third in the Eastern Conference, albeit off the back of some more games being played. Apparently, that's not the case, but still only 3 points now of top of the conference, 9 points clear of Atlanta United in that spot just outside the playoffs. Certainly looks like we'll have some playoff football here in our first season at the New York Red Bulls, and hopefully we'll stay up near that top end and get a bit of a kind of draw for the first round. At the moment, we'd be taking on DC United. If we get further up the top, though, it might depend on who wins the wildcard playoff game between the two teams at the bottom of the conference of reference. Here's what things do look like over in the West, but very impressive form from us so far in the MLS. Just a bit disappointing. We got that injury late on in that Leagues Cup game and scored that own goal to go out quite early, and the Columbus Crew did pick that up. But hopefully you guys did enjoy today's episode. That new left back who came here from FC Dallas, actually forgot to mention, he chose us over Hoffenheim, so that was certainly an interesting decision from him there in Zenta, but thankfully we did get him, got rid of De La Cruz, and also did pick up a couple of good wins there in the MLS, including that 2-0 win over the Philadelphia Union, even though it was pretty darn lucky with those stats from that game. If you enjoyed today's episode, then do remember to go down below, leave a thumbs up on the video, and if you haven't done so already and are enjoying the series here on the channel, also make sure to hit that subscribe button and turn that notification bell on as well. Now, I'll come back at the start of next week, and I'm pretty sure our games coming up in the MLS until the late stages of this league season aren't too great. Toronto, rock bottom of our conference. St. Louis City are going a bit fairly. The Chicago Fire, you could say the same for, and also the Colorado Rapids. But we better come back for our first local derby of the save. We'll take on New York City FC. Based on standings, we should probably win that game, but it is away at Yankee Stadium. We'll play that one. Also probably take on the Seattle Sounders in our last game and just see where we end up going to the playoffs and who we'll take on, unless we do finish top and have to wait to see who wins that wild card game, which is now the question with where we are now, only 3 points behind Philadelphia, but certainly we should be making the playoffs. We'll try and get there as soon as we can, but first off, play that derby against New York City and also take on Seattle in that final league game of the season. Also, fair warning, I might do a few FM25 videos when news starts to drop on that game, and it might take the place of an episode of the series. And next week, we should at some stage get the gameplay reveal for FM25, so I'll probably do a video on that. I'm not too sure what time it will come out, because being in New Zealand, the news tends to drop just as I'm going to work and times like that. So we'll see what time I get a video out, but it might take the place of one of these episodes at some stage next week. But definitely looking forward to seeing what FM25 is going to look like in the match engine. So early warning on that, but we should be back at the start of next week for those last couple of games in the league season here of the MLS, including that first New York derby. So until then, thank you very much for watching. Keep on keeping on, and I'll see you then. Cheers.